Good to hear. What have you done since I saw you last?
I was reading
Okay. All right. So nice. Kind of what you were doing before. What did you say you were reading again? I know you told me earlier, but
Macbeth.
Macbeth. All right. What are you? Where are you in Macbeth?
Second act, the fourth scene, when they already killed the king, and they are going to decide what to do.
Okay. Nice. What do you think so far?
It's great. I didn't know that Shakespeare was so funny.
He's hilarious.
When,
Yeah.
yeah, man. Oh, and there is the porter. It's fantastic.
The Porter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too
Yeah. No, that's
funny.
awesome. I really like Shakespeare. Um, okay.
I'm
And
reading it in English, not in Italian.
nice.
Yes.
That must be really tough. How? Because the language is a lot different. Obviously, it's still recognizable, but what do you think of the language? Do you think it's really really difficult, or are you kind of getting it?
Okay. At the beginning, when there were strange words like has, um, but now that I know the meaning, because I'm reading it with the Kindle, so um, I can easily find the meaning by clicking on words, and that make it easier.
Hmm. Really cool though. That's awesome. It's great that you're reading it, and it's cool that you're enjoying it too. Um, nice. And Heidi, welcome to class. Heidi, how's it going?
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. And pretty early in the morning again. So
Yeah.
yeah, what are your plans for the day?
Today, I need to wash the summer clothes again. The summer clothes.
The summer
Not
cross?
summer. No, I'm sorry, winter clothes.
Okay, put away your winter clothes.
Yeah, I wash winter clothes.
But at the beginning of class that makes everything freeze up. Uh, uh, so yeah, winter clothes. One of the things, it sounds almost like close the door. So put away
Clothes.
my winter clothes. Um, so that might just be a simpler way to think of it. Um, it looks like cloths, but clothes is the best way to pronounce it. Does that make sense, Heidi?
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, I did miss what you said for a moment. I don't know why, but yeah, it seems like the beginning of classes for me, it's been really like my connection just doesn't seem to do well with it. But yeah, hopefully it gets better. Amp, how's it going?
Hi, teacher.
How are you?
Doing well.
Okay. And Amp,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
what have you? So, what have you done? What have you done since I saw you last?
I was eating ice cream.
Nice.
Yes, and I was helping my sister with a PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, actually, I found probably the best ice cream place in my town yesterday, and I'm really excited about it because good ice cream is the
Oh,
greatest thing in the world.
I just saw a recipe on the internet that it was easier, so that's why I prepared it.
Oh, you made ice cream.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's easy. Just 600 milliliters of cream and half can of condensed milk and three spoon of coffee
Oh.
and yeah and 2 spoon of water and then just mix everything and to the freezer.
Okay, and how much condensed milk?
half can is like a 200 grams.
Okay.
Mhm.
Nice. That sounds really tasty.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And nice. Yeah. All right. So we've got a couple options for today's class. So we've got like a short answer selection, so we can do some reading about short answers from several different questions. A mole of moles, so like the unit of measure of moles, which is the animal, and also what would happen if a rainstorm dropped all its water in a single giant drop. Do any of you guys have a preference for what we talk about or read about? We might get to two of them as well.
Raindrop.
Giant raindrop?
Yeah.
Okay. And do the other Heidi and Julieta, do you guys support that?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Well, that's 2 out of 3. Let's start with Heidi. Can you read this first part?
Raindrop. What if a rainstorm dropped all of its water in a single giant drop? Michael McNair. It's midsummer. The air is hot and heavy. Two old timers sit on the porch in rocking chairs.
Good. You did a good job. 2 old timers, maybe. One more time. 2 old timers.
Two old timers.
Nice. Okay. And McNeil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, McNeil. Just like the generally with those last names like McDuff, McNeil. Yeah. But good. Yeah, you did a good job. And that's that. Let's have Amp. Can you read the next part?
On the horizon to the southwest, ominous-looking clouds begin to appear. The towers build as they draw closer, the tops spreading out into an anvil shape.
Okay. Good job. Ominous.
Ominous.
Good. And any questions so far on what we've read?
Yes, what is
Yes.
ominous and what is anvil?
Okay. Ominous. Does anybody know what ominous means?
Like a giant? No.
It's more like foreboding. So scary looking might be something. So something that's ominous looks bad.
Okay.
Or dangerous. Or both. And an anvil? Does anybody know what an anvil is? Okay. So it's like it's a thing you use to make like iron things. So if we look at this, oh wow, you can't do. All right, let's do this. So this is an anvil. Can you guys see that?
Okay.
Okay. And this is again another picture. Julieta, can you read these next two?
I have another question. What is an old timer?
Okay. Any ideas of what an old timer is?
Person, but old timer, an old person?
Yeah, it's an old person. So it's kind of slang for just, yeah, old person. Yeah. And yeah, can you read this next part?
They hear the tinkling of wind chimes. As gentle breeze picks up, the sky begins to darken. Air holds water. If you walled off a column of air from the ground up to the top of the atmosphere, and then cooled the column of air down, the moisture it contained would condense out as rain. If you collect the rain in the bottom of the column, it would fill it to a depth of anywhere between 0 and a few dozen centimeters. That depth is what we call the Earth's total precipitable water.
Nice. Here's total precipitable. Precipitable.
Precipitable.
Nice. That was better than I could have written it. Precipitable. And then depth?
Depth.
Centimeters?
Centimeters.
Nice. Yeah, sure. So again, that's like another swallowed T, centimeters.
Centimeters.
Which you did a good job with. Dozen?
Dozen.
Atmosphere?
Atmosphere.
Nice. Good job. Okay, any questions here?
Hold off.
Sorry, what question?
If you walled off a column,
Okay, walled off. Does anybody think they could explain this?
to build a wall, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, so pretty much just build a wall to contain something, to keep something in, or keep something out. So you can have a walled off resort. Generally, like a lot of resorts will be walled off, so the people on the outside don't get in, and people on the inside don't go out. Yeah. Any other questions here? Okay, good. And, huh?
No.
Okay, and this is kind of a diagram of what he's talking about. So this is like the walled off column of air, and this is the precipitation that you'd kind of catch from that column of air between, the Earth and space. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Heidi, can you read this next part?
Normally, the TPW is 1 or 2 centimeters. Satellites measure that water vapor content for every point on the globe, producing some truly beautiful maps. We'll imagine our storm measures 100 kilometers on each side and has a high TPW content of 6 centimeters. This means the water in our rainstorm would have a volume of.
Yeah, you don't have to read the equation either. Good. So a couple small things. Kilometers.
Kilometers.
Yeah, kilometers. Satellites.
Satellite.
Yeah, satellites. One more time.
Satellite.
Yeah, and centimeters.
Centimeters.
Yeah, again that T sounds it's got like not quite a T, but centimeters.
Centimeters.
Good. Okay, and TPW. What do you think TPW stands for? Anybody?
Total precipitation.
Precipitation.
Oh,
Yeah. Precipitable.
precipitable water.
Yeah, total precipitable water. And so it's like the total amount of water that can precipitate? I'm not sure if that's a verb, but yeah, the total amount of water that would fall. And if you guys want to look at a map, this is kind of like total precipitable water map that's coming. So kind of what you've seen on weather channels. Yeah. And let's look at this next part. Actually, Does anybody have any questions here? And the total is 0.6 kilometers cubed. That's what we'd say there. Amp, can you read the next part?
That water would weigh 600 million tons, which happens to be about the current weight of our species. Normally, a portion of this water would fall, scattered as rain, at most 6 centimeters of it. In this storm, all that water instead condensed into one giant drop, a sphere of water over a kilometer in diameter. We'll assume it forms a couple kilometers above the surface, since that's where most rain condenses.
Good. Okay. So you did a good job the second time you said condenses.
Yeah, the first time I just omitted the S at the end.
Okay. Yeah. Can you repeat it one more time? Condenses.
Condenses.
And then centimeters.
Centimeters.
Perfect. That was a really good job. Sorry, I'm not sure if you heard that last one. Kilometer.
Kilometer.
Yeah. Good. It's really easy to fall back into like kilometer, but yeah, kilometer. And good. Does anybody have any questions about this part? Okay. And Adela, welcome to class. Adela, how's it going?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, good. Good to hear. And who wants to fill Adela in on what we're talking about?
Sorry?
I was just asking.
Yes, about... sorry, I don't understand.
Okay, yeah, so I was asking, does anyone in class want to tell Adela what we're talking about? So fill her in. Alright, so...
Sorry.
No worries, Julieta, because you are next to talk. I'm going to choose you.
About...
So can you... can you tell Adela what we're talking about?
Okay, we are trying to think, to figure out how is, what will happen if we will have in only one drop the total amount of a storm, of the water of a storm.
Yeah.
A big storm?
Yes, we have a storm, but now
yes.
We are concentrating the entire amount of the water in just one enormous drop.
Uh-huh.
To see what happens.
Yeah. Exactly.
This is the question, no? If what? Okay.
Yeah. So just so you're aware, that was really good, Julieta. Nice job explaining. And good. So the water would fall from about a kilometer up. This is kind of a picture of where water kind of condenses and then falls. About 2 kilometers up. And Heidi, can you read this next part?
Maybe water is different, no? In my turn?
Yeah, because Julieta just described kind of what we were talking about, so...
So, maybe Julieta's turn, I think.
Okay, Julieta, can you read here too?
Okay, the drop begins to fall. For 5 or 6 seconds, nothing is visible. Then, the base of the cloud begins to bolt downward. For a moment, it looks a little like a funnel cloud is forming. Then the bolt widens, and at the 10-second mark, the bottom of the drop emerges from the cloud.
Nice. Good job. 10-second mark at the bottom of the drop emerges from the cloud. Okay. Yeah, you did a really good job. Bulge, you corrected, but it looks like bulge with like a
Bulge.
J sound. Funnel.
Funnel.
And really good job correcting widens.
Widens.
And yeah, nice job with emerges as well. Okay. Any questions here?
It is a funnel.
Okay, a funnel. Does anybody know what a funnel is?
I think it's the part where of the ship where the steam emerge. I'm not sure.
Where steam emerges? Oh yeah, the funnel for like a kettle, for sure. That's actually really good. So if we're looking at a funnel, this is a funnel, and if you're talking about like a funnel cloud, which is kind of what we'd be talking about, we'd be seeing like a tornado. So a tunnel coming out of the clouds would be a funnel. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, so this is kind of a little drawing. And Heidi, can you read this next part?
The drop is now falling at 90 meters per second, 200 meters per hour. The roaring wind whips up the surface of the water into spray. The leading edge of the droplet turned to foam as air is forced into the liquid. If it kept falling for long enough, these forces would gradually disperse the entire droplet into line.
Good. Okay. MPH. What does MPH stand for?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody?
Miles per hour.
Yeah, miles per hour instead of meters per hour, Heidi.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry at all. And liquid. Disperse. Okay, and this is a pretty good visual. What's happening here? Heidi, can you explain this sentence?
Okay. Drop is the range dropping the 90 meters per second. The strong wind blow that water like spray. So blow away that water drops.
Yeah, exactly. So the roaring wind, so like just a really loud wind, would whip up, which means like to stir violently. So air goes into something. So when you whip eggs, you stir them really rapidly until there's lots of little bubbles in the egg. And then the surface, so it turns the surface of the water droplet into this like airy kind of liquid spray. Good. And yeah, so again, it kind of repeats itself. So the leading edge turns into foam, again, kind of spray, because the air is forced into the liquid. All right. And Giulietta, can you read this next part? Oh, no, sorry. Adela, can you read the next part?
Okay. Before that can happen, about 20 seconds after formation, the edge of the droplet hits the ground. The water is now moving at over 2,000 meters by second, 450 miles per hour. Right under the point of impact, the air is unable to rush out of the way fast enough and the compression hits it so quickly that the grass will catch fire if it had time.
Yeah. Okay. Compression. Maybe compression.
Compression.
Good. And 200 meters per second.
200 meters per second.
And droplet.
Droplet.
Good. I think everything else you did a good job. Any questions on these two paragraphs? Okay. And good. So let's have Amp. Can you read this next part?
Fortunately for the grass, this heat lasts only a few milliseconds because it's doused by the arrival of a lot of cold water. Unfortunately for the grass, the cold water is moving at over half the speed of sound.
Good. Okay, and you did a really good job there. I don't think I'd correct anything. Even your intonation sounded great. Any questions here?
Doused.
Doused. Does anybody know what doused means? So you douse yeah, so it's like you pretty much put out a fire, but it's kind of like to cover in water too. So you can get doused in water from a water balloon, but you douse a fire with either with some sort of liquid, I guess. So you douse a fire. It's kind of like suffocate a fire with liquid, or to cover something with liquid. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Good. And so this is a picture of this gigantic water droplet. And let's have Julieta. Can you read the next part?
If you were floating in the center of this sphere during this episode, you wouldn't have felt anything unusual up until now. It'd be pretty dark in the middle, but if you had enough time and lung capacity to swing a few 100 meters out toward the edge, you'd be able to make out the dim glow of daylight.
Okay, so if you did a good job. I think I lost you in the middle a little bit, around lung capacity. So I'm not sure if you pronounced that well, but the only thing I saw was unusual.
Unusual.
Yeah, unusual.
Unusual.
Good. Okay, any questions here? Okay. And Heidi, can you read the next part?
As the raindrop approached the ground, the build-up of air resistance would lead to an increase in pressure that would make your ears pop. But seconds later, when the water contacted the surface, it would be crushed to death. The shock would briefly create pressures exceeding those at the bottom of the Marianas Trench.
Good. Okay. Yeah, you did a good job. Really nice work with your ED endings, like contacted, crushed. Maybe build up.
Build up.
Yeah, build up. Resistance.
Resistance.
Good. And Marianas.
Marianas.
Marianas. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's how they say it in English. I'm not really sure what language the name of the trench comes from. So, but in English, at least in school, we learned Marianas Trench.
Okay.
Good. Any other questions here? Okay. And does anybody know what the Marianas Trench is?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. And Adela, can you read the next part?
The water plows into the ground. The water plows into the ground, but the bedrock is unyielding. The pressure forces the water sideways, creating a supersonic one-directional jet that destroys everything in its path.
Good. Omnidirectional. Omnidirectional.
Omnidirectional.
Yeah, omnidirectional.
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 Forces.
Forces.
Unyielding.
Unyielding.
Yeah, unyielding.
Unyielding.
Good. Nice job with plows. So the water plows into the ground, but the bedrock is unyielding. Good. Any questions here? Some tricky words.
I remember clouds about snow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you plow into something, it's like you move into something with great force. It does come from snow plow or like a land plow. Yeah. So plowing into something, you can use it to describe like football players. Like they plowed into each other. It's like they ran into each other at great speed. Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of slang. So plowing into something, the verb to plow is what you're talking about when you're talking about, plowing the earth or plowing snow. But yeah, this is kind of a slang usage of it. It's really, really common. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Any other questions?
Unyielding.
Unyielding. Can you repeat that? Unyielding?
Unyielding.
Yeah. Does anybody recognize the word yield? Think of driving. Has anybody ever driven in a place with English signs? Okay, so in Spanish it'd be like sea. So it's like wait for the other cars to stop going before you go into traffic. So it's like you need to stop if there is another car. But, if not, you can keep going. And so yield is just to let other people go through, pretty much. And so if you're unyielding, you don't let other things or people go through. You're kind of just a wall, and yeah, you don't yield. Does that make sense? Okay. So if you look here, yield. This is the sign. Yeah, yield right away. And any other questions? What about
So that means that the bedrock stopped the water.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But what does omnidirectional mean?
In every direction.
Every direction.
Yeah. Good. In every direction. And so the water leaves pretty much in every direction, except for down. And I think we're with Heidi? Who just read? I'm sorry.
Adela,
Adela.
right? Adela finished. Then
Okay. So Amp, can you read this next one?
Okay. The wall of water expands outward kilometer by kilometer, ripping up trees, houses, and topsoil as it goes. The house, porch, and old-timers are obliterated in an instant. Everything within a few kilometers is completely destroyed, leaving a pool of mud down to bedrock. bedrock. The splash continues outward, demolishing all the structures out to distances of 20 or 30 kilometers. At this distance, areas shielded by mountains or ridges are protected, and the flood begins to flow along natural valleys and waterways.
Good. You did a really, really good job with reading. The only thing, kilometers.
Kilometers again. I just hate. I said
Okay.
kilometers again.
Uh-huh. Kilometers.
Kilometers. Okay.
Good. Everything else, though, you did a really, especially your ED endings, the space in between words. Yeah, that sounded great.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, this. At this distance. That was the only other thing.
At this distance.
Perfect. Okay, and Julieta, can you read the next part? And yeah, why don't you go for this, both of those? It's kind of short.
The broader region is largely protected from the effects of the storm, though areas hundreds of kilometers downstream experience flash flooding in the hours after the impact. News tricklers oh man, out into the world about the inexplicable disaster. There is widespread shock and puzzlement, and for a while, every now cloud in the sky causes mass panic. Fear reigns supreme, and the world fears reigns supreme, but years pass without any signs of the disaster repeating.
Good. Really nice job. Inexplicable.
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 Good. Trickles.
Trickles.
And region.
Region.
Good. Okay, any questions here? I mean, these last 3 paragraphs? All right. And just because it's an awesome sentence, Heidi, can you read this last sentence?
Mm-hmm.
So just because this is a great sentence, before you read your own, can you read this last sentence?
Fear region supreme as the word fear in spring. But years pass without any signs of the disaster repeating.
Good. Okay, so fear reigns supreme as the world fears reigns supreme. Just make sure that the S at the end sounded like it got cut off a little bit. But good job. And then, okay, Heidi, can you read this last paragraph?
Atmospheric scientists try for years to piece together what happened, but no explanation is forthcoming. Eventually, they give up, and the unexplained and the unexplained meteorological phenomenon is simply dubbed Skrillex storm, because in the word of the researcher, it had one hell of a job.
Good. And sorry about the curse at the end. So meteorological.
Meteorological.
So nice. That was good. I think you said that better than I did. Unexplained.
Unexplained.
Good. Unexplained. Maybe forthcoming?
Mm-hmm.
Forthcoming?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, can you repeat that one more time? Forthcoming?
Forthcoming.
Yeah. And then I think you did a good job here. So what's the joke at the end? Does anybody know? It sounded like Julieta had some sort of response.
What?
Any ideas of
Sorry.
like what this joke at the end is? Because it is kind of a joke, despite the crudeness of the words. Any ideas?
Mm,
Okay, so Skrillex is a band that does kind of like, I don't even know what, dub stuff? No, what is it? Anyways, the type of music they have, it has drops when the music gets really loud and like more intense significantly, and so it's a pun on drop, which is why they call it the Skrillex storm. Um, yeah, and if you use this phrase, which probably shouldn't be teaching you, it just means it was like really big or really large. Yeah. And good. Does anybody have any questions about this one? So the water droplet, any questions? All right. We can do some short answers because that way we can actually end them. And let's have Adela. Can you read the beginning up to the end of the question?
Yes,
Adela, are you
yes.
there?
Sorry. In today's article, I give short answer to several reader questions. I continue?
Yeah, just read the question.
Okay. How long would the sun last if a giant water hose were focused upon it? My sixth grade brother Adam asked me this. Austin Dickey.
Good. Dickey.
Dickey.
Austin Dickey. Can you repeat that? Yeah.
Austin Dickey.
And then focused
Focused
on.
upon.
So focused upon it.
Upon.
Mm-hmm. And several.
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 Good. And I think that's it. Okay, good. And Amp, can you read these first two paragraphs?
Okay. Your brother might be surprised to learn that the water would actually make the sun hotter. Water is made of hydrogen and oxygen, which is fuel for the sun's fusion. But more importantly, the extra mass also makes the sun heavier. This crushes it together more tightly and makes fusion happen faster. This means it will burn more brightly and run through its fuel more quickly.
Good. Okay, fusion
Fusion.
and heavier.
Heavier.
Good. All right, well done. And any questions here? Okay. And let's have Giulietta. Can you read this next paragraph?
As you keep adding water, the sun will go through a lot of wacky fusion phases. During one phase, called a helium flash, the reaction rate is proportional to the fourth power of the temperature, which is probably the largest exponent I've ever seen in a physics equation.
Cool. Good job. It sounded really good. Helium.
Helium.
Helium 40th. The 40th power.
The 40th power.
The 40th power. Good. of the temperature?
Positive power of the temperature.
Good. And nice job with exponent. And Heidi, can you read the next paragraph?
But one way or another, eventually the whole thing will collapse in on itself, blow off its outer layers, and become a black hole. This black hole will keep soaking up water, spraying off X-rays in the process, until finally the municipal water department notice what you've been doing and shut off your service.
Yeah, the municipal. Can you repeat municipal?
Pardon?
Municipal? Municipal?
A municipal? What?
Yeah, process.
Municipal.
Process?
Mm-hmm.
Can you repeat process too?
Pardon?
Process?
Process?
Yeah, process. It's got like an ah. Process.
Process.
And eventually.
Eventually.
Good. Okay, well done. Any questions here? Okay. And Adela, can you read the question and this first part?
What if you shine what if you shine a flashlight or a laser into a sphere made of a one-way mirror glass? Montgomery, believe it or not, you have been lied to all of your life. There's no such thing as one-way mirror glass.
Good. Such. Such.
Such.
Sphere.
Sphere.
Laser.
Laser.
And shined.
Shined.
Okay. Believe it or not, you've been lied to all your life. There's no such thing as one-way mirror glass. Good. Amp, can you read this next part?
Glass either lets light through or reflects it, but there's no glass that lets light through or one way and reflects it the other way. The glass in police shows is partially reflected on both sides. The key is that the room on the prisoner's side is brightly lit, so the reflection washes out the small amount of light from the observer's side.
Good. Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm trying to think of words that sound good. And this is what we're looking at. Maybe love you guys a minute to read that. Does anybody have any questions about what we're seeing here?
I didn't understand.
Okay. So we're talking about, again, the two-way mirror glass. And so glass either lets light through or reflects it, but there's no glass that lets light through one way and reflects it the other way. What you see in the police shows is glass that's partially reflective on both sides. So it's the same on both sides, but one room is brightly lit. So this is the prisoner's room. It's really bright. There's lots of light in it. So the reflection just washes out the light that comes from the other side. So this guy sees his reflection, and he doesn't see the other dim light that comes from the other side of the room.
Okay, I haven't. Yes, I didn't realize that was the police room where. Okay, now I know.
Okay. Yeah, and so good. Yeah, this is really good. And where are we? Julieta, can you read the question and this first part?
If Michael Fields could hold his breath indefinitely, how long would it take for him to reach the lowest point of the ocean and back if he swam straight down and then straight back up? Jimmy Mori.
Good. And the next part?
He'd most likely black out and die somewhere between 100 and 400 meters.
Good. Phelps.
Phelps.
And indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
Good. And he'd most likely black out and die somewhere between 100 and 400 meters. Good. Good. And okay. Julieta, can you read the comic as well?
I'm not trying to swim down. These two things. Oh, pray.
Are heavy.
Are heavy.
Are heavy, yeah. What's the comic referring to?
To the person that want to swim.
Yeah, AMP. What's it talking about?
That the medals are too heavy.
Yeah. So, who's Michael Phelps, AMP?
Is the swimmer that have win a lot of medals in the Olympics.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a swimmer. He won like a record amount of gold medals in the Olympics. Does that make sense now, Julieta?
Yes, I thought they were hair.
No, not quite. He's got like a lot of neck hair. No, okay, good. And Julieta, can you, or Heidi, can you read this next paragraph?
The human body handles pressure remarkably well. With the right preparation, we can survive pressure over a dozen atmospheres. Different body systems break down at different depths, but one of the trickiest limits is created by high pressure nervous syndrome. Below, after 100 meters, the divers become jittery and excitable, especially if the pressure increase is rapid, and at the same time begin slipping in and out of sleep. The reason may be direct pressure on the brain.
Good. You did a really good job. Depths?
Depth.
Tricky one to say, but depths.
Depth.
And then it just sounded like you said something else for below about 100 meters.
Hmm?
So can you repeat below about 100 meters?
Below about 100 meters.
Yeah. It's tricky because we're talking two prepositions right in a row, but yeah, below about 100 meters.
Below about 100 meters.
Yeah. And then jittery.
Jittery.
Okay. Any questions here?
Yes, I think eatery is like confused.
Yeah, jittery is like almost overactive. So if you can't control like your shaking arms, your shaking hands, you get jittery when you drink too much coffee. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You are jittery. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. And Adela, can you read these next two?
But let's suppose Michael Phelps were immune to all those things. In that case, it simply becomes a question of speed. There aren't very many records for underwater swimming, but based on how quickly this guy completed the 50-meter backstroke, it would probably take Michael about 2 by depth of Mariana Trench by 20.1 seconds divided 50 meters equal more or less 3 hours to make the trip.
Good. Okay. And so we'd say here 2 times the depth of the Marianas Trench times 23.1 seconds over
times,
50 meters.
yes.
Yeah. Equals
Times.
about 3 hours to make the trip. Becomes, can you repeat becomes?
Becomes.
A question of speed. Yeah, I think you did a good job there. Any questions here? Okay, and so we're just about out of time. So the next question, if you're interested in reading them, are going to be in the chat box. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. One of these times it'll work. So yeah, I'm going to copy and paste the rest of this in the chat box if you want to read it. I think I've got a class, 2 classes in about an hour. If you want to join me, I'd love to see you guys there. But if not, have a really good day, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Teacher, take care. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you very much. Bye.